What's up, everybody? It is Gamejae with Phrasing with Jay. It is episode, I think, 14, and it's been one of the... What the fuck is going on over here? Oh, you know, it's one of those deals where every time I try to start doing a show, some asshole on a motorcycle comes screaming by and just aggravates the fuck out of me, but that's okay. Let me get these plugs out the way. You could find me on Instagram at Gamejae is sus. You could follow me on Twitter at Gamejae1. That's the number one, not the letters. I'm on Blue Sky at Gamejae. You could find me on YouTube and Twitch and Spotify and all those other places at Gamejae. So thank you very much for the follow or subscription, like and a comment, all those types of things. What's that thing they say on the internet? They tell you to do this? Oh yeah, hit the fucking bell for notifications on when I post something. Oh yeah, believe it or not, I just uploaded a new rap battle on the YouTube channel, and that was for awesome rap well, it's not for awesome rap battles. That was a flow test for awesome rap battles originally created by Roshan. Shout out to Ro. However, he has been working on other battles, so for whatever reason, he decided to tell me that I could put them on my channel, and that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I had no idea that I'd be posting these battles on my channel, but I mean, look, you all are watching them, and if you like them and you watch them, just drop me a line. I appreciate it. I was originally not going to do a show today, but this is something I was thinking about earlier. It's like, you know what, Jay, just do a show. And the reason why is I wanted to stay consistent with the upload schedule because, as a lot of you know, I'm moving. I'm in the process of moving right now and having to relocate everything from my property to my recording equipment, all these types of things. And then getting things set up on that new place like Wi-Fi so I can work and, you know, do acting and these things, to the simplest things that you wouldn't even think of, like buying a trash can for your bathroom. Who the fuck? It was so stupid. I'll tell that story in a second. But either way, that gets the plugs out the way. And yeah, I don't know how long the show's going to run today, but I knew I wanted to get something out for everybody to listen to because consistency is key. And I'll talk about consistency in a minute. And a big when we're back on consistency, a big reason why I was talking about consistency a second ago and now is because originally I wasn't going to do a show. And it is partially because of me moving. And it's also because I am not finding it difficult to section out time in order to do the show necessarily. What's really been the cause of my, not rush, but my haste to put together a show for everybody, especially in the last few weeks, I'd say almost the entirety of last month, is mainly due to the fact that when you're an actor and you're not famous, you're what's known as a working actor. And working actors have a different experience in acting versus someone who's famous on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or in Hollywood type productions. We all know this about actors. I mean, you're a hired gun, and the second you finish a production, you go back to the proverbial breadline. Now, if you're famous, that's cool. You know, you can allow yourself to take time off and check out different roles and feel a little more free in what you want to do. When you're not famous and when you're what you call a quote unquote working actor, the pay is lower, especially if you do a non-union project, which unfortunately I've been having to do a lot of, because I have not been able to secure any union projects. Now, I always put that fault on myself. Whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm not doing is probably the reason I'm not getting picked up for these things. And I have to learn what those union projects want. And because of that, I have been doing a lot of non-union gigs, which means it's lower paying. So when I go back on the breadline, it's a very difficult situation to be in. So there's a level of the second I get a role, it kind of doesn't matter even if I get a role, I'm always on to the next audition. I mean, I audition every day. Every single day I'm auditioning. NSA, never stop auditioning. And it's not a complaint. It's just a reality of what happens when you're working as an actor. Can you hear the asshole on the motorcycle? If you can't, then my noise gate's working a lot better than I thought. But if you could, well, then you could understand why my thoughts get slightly derailed. No, when you're a working actor and you're not getting paid a whole lot of money, you have to find consistent work, be it medium tenure projects or long tenure projects. But even then, if the pay isn't what you need it to be, you have to secure more work on a more regular basis. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I just finished 2 audiobooks. And I can't necessarily tell everybody what they are yet. I'll be able to tell everybody which audiobooks I narrated when they are out, and then I'll send everybody links. And if you want to support the authors, which I would encourage because it's always good to support authors. I think books are a dying form of entertainment, and it's kind of worrying how most people don't even think about books anymore as forms of entertainment. But that's an entirely different concern. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, consistency. I was talking about consistency because it's important, especially when you're a non-union working actor, be it on screen or voice acting. You have to get more work. And I have been doing this for a long time. And there's a daunting reality that strikes me sometimes because I go, I don't think I'm designed for anything else. I have worked plenty of regular jobs throughout my entire life before acting ever picked up. And I've tried. I truly have tried. I've tried everything. And I was never happy. And I was never fulfilled. Don't get it twisted. I'm not happy now. But that's not me saying that I'm depressed or anything. It's just that I don't live in a state of chasing happiness. I think that's ridiculous. And my reason for that is because happiness is a fleeting thought. If you do something and then you're happy, what happens? The happy feeling goes away, and then you're kind of left with a decline, a dip in that happy feeling, and then you have to go refill it, so to speak. You need an injection of something. So I am quite the opposite. I try to live for purpose, because if I live a purposeful life, then I can be fine. But that's me as a person, and everybody is designed differently. I know people out there, I want to live a happy life. I want to live a happy life. Well, you're going to be chasing it like a heroin addict chases the dragon. It's never going to be what you think it is. And that's just an unfortunate reality of life. But I wanted to make sure that I at least got something out. And that's consistency. I've grown very attached to all of you and being a soundtrack to your life, so to speak. And I understand the responsibility that you've given me. It means that once a week, I sit down and I talk to all of you. It's like talking to a bunch of friends, although it is a one-sided conversation. So you're not necessarily talking back. It's just I'm talking to you about whatever's going on in my mind, whatever projects I may be working on, which I have noticed that I am kind of hush-hush about. And it's mainly due to the fact that I have an entire playlist. Go to my YouTube channel, Gamejae on Film, and you will see all the animated work that I have done. As far as video games are concerned, there's a lot of video games that aren't done yet, and there's a non-disclosure agreement in place, so you can't really talk about it until it's ready for marketing, and then I could talk about it. Just one of those things. The same with like audiobooks and all this other shit that I've been a part of. It's just what it is. It's a legal document. You got to adhere to it. I'm not going to violate my contracts as much as I may want to and just scream from the rooftops of everything I've been working on. But consistency is key. And I want to make sure that I always get something out for people, because I don't know. I think it's a good lesson for me personally. I don't know about all of you, but I'm talking to all of you. So maybe it's a good lesson for you too. I just think it's a good lesson to be consistent. If you're inconsistent, I kind of don't like that. I heard something early on in my life. I don't remember who I heard it from or where I heard it from, but I've always stuck to it. Champions finish strong. And that mentality has stuck with me for a long time. Well, pretty much my entire life. And I've always felt that you need to be consistent in everything that you do. And then I heard another quote, and I don't remember where I heard it from. I think it was from, I have no fucking idea. The quote was, excellent is a habit. It's not a trait. I'm butchering it, but basically excellence is a habit. In order to be excellent, you have to do it consistently. You're not excellent just because you do it once and then you forget. And then you do it once, and then a week goes by and you don't do it. No, that's not how it works. Excellence is a habit. You have to do it consistently and constantly in order for it to be a habit, for it to be a thing, for it to be real. And I take that seriously, which is why you're here on the show today. Now, I got a few things to talk about. Some of it voice acting related, some of it not. And then there's a part of my brain that just wants to spit fire into this weird stream of consciousness until I sound like Brendan fucking Shaw, but I don't want to do that. Poor guy. That dude's going through a lot of shit right now. I don't know him. Who gives a fuck? I was thinking about this today when I was doing auditions, and I don't know if seasoned actors or successful actors would find any insight to this because they probably already know. But for new actors and new voice actors, actually specifically new actors, I really want to talk to everybody for a minute. And I don't know how long I'll talk about this, probably only for a minute or so. I really want everybody to understand the difference between knowing how to act. It sounds stupid, but acting is a skill and not everybody can do it. And that's not a diss on anybody. It's just that certain people have certain talents. And mainly, I wanted to talk to everybody about the differences between acting and not even differences. It's more, I want everybody to understand how not to overact or underact. When I'm looking at a role, one, I try to identify the character and what this character is like. And then I try to give this character its own little backstory in my brain. So when I go and act the part, I can give it more life to where it's more than just me reading words or just being in front of the camera and saying lines. I try to make sure that if a character is angry, for example, that I need to understand how that character would be angry, how visible it would be on their face if I'm on screen, how I would sound if it's only in voice acting, because let's not fucking bullshit ourselves here. Voice acting is still very much acting. With on-screen acting, you have this, it's kind of a handicap. I mean, because you're not limited to just your voice. When you're acting on screen, you have the ability to use your body language, to use facial features and emotional range that way, where you can emote even without saying anything. With voice acting, it's totally different. Sometimes it's all your voice. Sometimes you need the pause, or you need to say things a little faster, or change the intensity in how you deliver dialogue. It's just one of those deals. But if we take how to be angry, how to act angry in acting, whether it's on-screen acting or voice acting, you don't need... When I first started acting, anytime it was like an angry scene or something like that, where I had to be pissed off or something, I would always go to height 100. I would always scream my motherfucking ass off and rah! And I quickly learned, especially with on-screen acting, that that's not always what you want to do. Sometimes you could say things quietly, and it's how you say them. Maybe you use a pause. Maybe it's the look that you give your other screen partner, the other actor. It's also how you say the lines. It doesn't have to be 100% at the top of your lungs, full on rage. Now, there's plenty of times where that's going to be necessary. Just like in voice acting, there's times where, for example, if you get something that's all in capital letters, yeah, you're screaming that shit at the top of your lungs, and you better deliver. And then there's other times where the character can be angry, but they can be seething. There could be rage building. They could be angry and concerned at the same time. So you have to be able to deliver both. And the way you do that, for me, I can't speak for other actors, but the way I've been able to do that is just kind of understand when too much is too much. If it's on screen, the director will tell you. That's simple. When you're voice acting, it's a little different, especially if you're solo recording in isolation, because you have to be the vocal director in that situation and kind of determine what takes are the good takes that you want. And you could tell. Over time, you'll be able to tell if you just get the reps down. I've talked about this in previous episodes, where if you do something long enough, you eventually get better at it. And then you start to understand some of the nuances within that. So if I'm going to be angry, it doesn't always have to be screaming. Sometimes my anger could be brooding. Sometimes it could be quiet rage. Sometimes it could be that escalation of anger. Sometimes it could be a sadness mixed with anger. Sometimes you could be relieved and angry. You could be, there's a million different ways to play it. And that's what I mean. That you don't always want to go to the 100% full maximum, screaming at the top of your lungs, making all these crazy faces if you're on screen, or screaming into your microphone until it peaks. Sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes if you want to make a person believe you're angry or sad or happy or elusive or mischievous, sometimes it takes a pause. Sometimes it takes the subtle change of how you deliver a word. And it all depends. But overacting is really easy to do. Have you ever watched, and this is a great example, have you ever watched a B movie or a really bad indie film? Because I'm sure you have. There's a lot of people who love to hate watch. Why? I don't know. I don't understand. Shut the fuck up, phone. Good God. These people can't fucking wait for me, I swear to God. But when you watch something that's objectively bad, you could tell when the acting is fucking corny. And the reason is it's either they're a bad actor or they're just not experienced enough yet. And it's not always that actor's fault. It could be their first movie. They could be nervous on screen. They could be improperly cast for that particular role or character. It just really depends. But suffice it to say, you all know bad acting when you see it. And what happens in a lot of bad acting? They oversell it. Everything is either really over the top or it's just very wooden. And this is the thing. You have to find your own acting range. You have to figure out what you can do confidently. And the things you can't do confidently, that's what you need to work on. I remember, here's a great example because it's my show. So, of course, I'll talk about myself. Ha, 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 egotistical. Not really. This is just using myself as an example. So hopefully my mistakes help all of you who want to act or want to voice act or do voice act. You don't make my mistakes. One of the things when I first started out acting that I did was I'd be very over the top. And I would only have one gear when it came to an emotion like anger or just any of my acting. My line delivery would always kind of be similar. It wasn't necessarily wooden, but I could feel the difference in between when I was delivering lines versus when I was just speaking to somebody candidly without having to think about it. And a big way I got over that was I had to learn how to relax. Because there's this thing that you have called takes. Okay, yes, you want to nail it in the first take on the first scene or whatever scene that you're on, scene 8, scene 35, scene 50, scene 2, whatever. And you want to nail it the first time and do it once, do it right. However, sometimes you could get it right, but the director wants you to do it again. Or you're in voice acting. And you do a take that you really like, but you want to try different inflections, a different rhythm, a different cadence. I've talked about this on previous episodes. And you want to learn how to get comfortable being behind a microphone or being in front of a camera and not looking at the camera, and 2, not being so self-conscious about the microphone, of the fact that you're being recorded. I mean, look, this is something that I think some people like myself, like I never gave a fuck if the camera was recording me. I never gave a fuck if I had a microphone in my face or if I was just talking to someone face to face. It's pretty much the same thing. The only time it changes is when I have lines in front of me, and therein lies the challenge. You have to learn how to get the lines in your head so then you can focus on emoting. And I'm not talking about total line memorization, not for voice acting. For on-screen acting, it's a little different. At minimum, you at least want to know your scene, beat for beat for beat for beat. The reason why is so you don't have to spend all your time in your head thinking, okay, he said that line. Okay, she said that line. Okay, this is about to happen. Now it's my line. Okay, now I'm waiting. You don't want that. You want to have it kind of in your subconscious to a point to where you can just kind of access it at a whim. And the reason for that is because if you're on camera, I've said this before too, the camera can see everything. The camera knows what you're doing. It shows what you're saying. And most importantly, it shows what you're thinking. And that's a big deal. It shows what you're thinking. The camera catches everything. And when you're voice acting, the microphone picks up confidence or a lack of confidence. It can pick up a conviction or a lack thereof. It's interesting about these little devices that we have that we use to communicate with each other through this medium that we call entertainment or media, or people nowadays call it content. I'm a content creator. Everybody's a fucking content creator. Shut the fuck up. We're all content creators. We all know that. But I do hope it helps people. I do hope that does help, because overacting is very easy to do. And underacting is also something that people can fall into. And I think it's a matter of some people might be trying to be stoic about something, but then it comes across as wooden or rigid. And that's when this is why I say that you gotta, in your own way, because everybody's different. Every actor's different. I'm very much in this kind of more dangerous side of acting, as I'm more of a method actor, which is not exactly the healthiest way to go about acting, because there are repercussions that can happen to actors who are method actors, be it physically, be it mentally, be it emotionally, and all these other things. And I feel them too. I used to think it was bullshit. I used to think me going all in on a part and everything that I had to do was just making it the best acting I could do possible. And it does. For me, it works. But there's always this weird thing that I've always wondered about, how other actors and voice actors and talents have been able to do their job without having to dive as far into something as I would have to do, or other actors who do the form of acting I'm discussing, which is method acting. It's very intriguing. And I think that's the whole basis of this. In order to not underact or to overact, you have to become comfortable. And you have to figure out what acting method works for you. And this doesn't matter if you're classically trained or if you're like me, who was not classically trained. I didn't go to an acting school. I didn't have anybody teach me all this shit. All the movies or whatever you heard me in or saw me in, blah, 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 I learned it on my own. I learned it through trial and error. I learned it through listening to good producers and good directors. And I've learned it by talking to my fellow actors and listening to their approach to acting and what they felt was the method to go to. And that works for them. And I've taken what works for me and I've rejected what doesn't work for me, because I'm not going to use something that I don't agree with or something that I don't think works for me. That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of what Bruce Lee said way, way, way back in the day, when people who listen to Bruce Lee talk, and in his books, Bruce Lee said, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless. And this is in terms of his application to Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. And I believe in this philosophy because, especially in something like acting, you should take what is useful from the things that you hear and you learn. And you need to reject what doesn't work for you. And what I mean by that is, I think everybody knows. I'm not saying just reject it and think it's stupid. I'm saying, no, if it doesn't work, don't do it. It's that simple. Or if it doesn't work, figure out if it's something that can work if you improve upon it, if you spend the hours dedicating to improving it, or maybe it's just not for you, because that's a reality too. I've talked about this on my live streams. I've talked about it in my 50 Shades of Jay Discord. Oh yeah, I forgot to plug that earlier. If you want to talk and hear from me occasionally. Basically, it's just if you want to keep up to date with what I do on a more consistent basis, go join my Discord. There'll be a link posted in the description. Join 50 Shades of Jay. I got a great community, and my day ones will treat you nicely, except Virgil. She might kink you into oblivion, so be warned, she's feisty. Shout out to my day ones. I love you. All right, I love my shades. I really do. Ooh, I hope Eminem doesn't sue me. He's all about the shade. Ooh, he really is. No, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I've talked about this on prior episodes before, and it's not prior episodes. I've talked about this on previous streams, and whatever. I've talked about it before. And I've always found myself in this situation to where I don't really consume a lot of media anymore. I consume some, just not a lot. And I've always found myself in this kind of strange situation where I've always wanted to create rather than consume. And I don't exactly know why. Part of me is openly, free-flowingly thinking about this as I'm talking to all of you. So if it sounds a little disjointed, that's exactly why. I didn't exactly have notes prepared for this segment. But when I was a kid, and this is a little story time with Jay, growing up with Jay, growing up Gamejae. I think I'll make that a segment. Shout out to Don Tony for me ripping off his segment, Growing Up Don Tony. This is Growing Up Gamejae. I just like it. Growing Up Gamejae. Sounds sexy. Ooh. When I was a kid, I would watch television and movies and play video games like all of you, but there was this thing that always happened to me. I liked games. I liked movies. I liked reading books, and I liked watching television and all this stuff, but I was always more interested in how they made something rather than what they made and what the final product was. For whatever reason, I always found myself drawn to the behind the scenes stuff. And this really went out of control when DVDs started coming out. And even way back in the day when you found behind the scene features or featurettes on VHSs. Yes, I am that old to where I was watching VHSs. Go calculate how old I am. You'll be fucking astonished. 'Cause I sound like a young guy, believe it or not. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on who you ask. But I would always watch the behind the scenes stuff. And I always found that a million times more compelling than I ever found the final product, the movie or the game or the television show I was watching. I always liked documentaries too. And I don't know why. I think there was just something about it, something about the behind the scenes aspect of pretty much pulling behind the curtain and knowing how things are done. That always appealed to me greatly. And still to this day, I can't figure out why. But I have realized that it has been a big reason into why I struggle being immersed in things like video games, like movies, like television shows, like books, everything, without wanting to know how it was made and why it was made, rather than just enjoying the material for what it is. And I think deep down, it's part of the reason I became an actor. Not just because some producer looked at me and said, "Hey, Jay, you should be an actor. You got a good voice. You got a good look." It's like, okay, that's stupid. Yeah, here I sit. 10 years later, I'm a fucking actor. God damn it, of course. Of course, that's how life works out. But I've always been interested in this stuff. And something about being a part of making the magic rather than just watching the magic unfold appeals to me more. And I think it's always going to be that way for my foreseeable future. For example, I can't get immersed in video games. It's just the same reason why I can't get immersed in horror movies anymore, or why I don't get freaked out by any horror movies, because I know it's fake. I know it's fake. I lack the suspension of disbelief, and I've never really had it. So when I encounter other human beings out in the world who really love a show and they go, "Oh my God, can you believe how this, that, or the other happened?" I kind of just go, "Okay, yep, that is a thing that happened on that show you are so enamored with." Unless we're talking about Cobra Kai, which I will talk about Cobra Kai in a second because I have been rewatching it, which is stupid to say out loud. A grown man watching Cobra Kai about 50-year-old karate dudes who can't let go of the past. Huh. That's weird. Either way, I've always been more interested in being a part of making the magic than watching it unfold. And I think there's just something about it. There's something when it comes to doing a voiceover or being an actor in a movie or being an actor and a voiceover talent for a video game. There's just something so rewarding that I can be a part of it versus just watching it. And I don't know why it means so much to me. God forbid, I have no idea, but it does. It does. And I don't know if it's a combination between me being able to be a part of people's lives in my own way, or if it's something selfish, because acting, it's a collaborative effort, but like bodybuilding, like martial arts, it's a very selfish practice in the sense of it's all about you. You know, when I think about acting, I go, okay, cool. I'm not in that scene, but I'm in this scene. Okay, what do I have to do in this scene to give my best performance so I can leave the best business card I can, AKA my show reel, to make sure I get hired again. Me, I, these are the words that I think about. And I'm not really sure what to make of it sometimes. And I've always very much been focused on behind the scenes. For example, I did a video game. Can't tell you which one because I signed an NDA. Or I believe I signed an NDA. I just don't have it with me right now and I don't want to talk about it, then get in trouble later. But I did a voiceover for a video game and I'm an important character in that game. And for whatever reason, that's a big deal to me. Not just because I'm not because I'm not because I'm a pivotal character in the game. It's because I'm in the game. There's something I find very rewarding about being able to help a production or a video game developer create their goal, create their passion project and bring it to life, to give their character that was only words on a page and character designs a voice and bring it life and give it 3 dimensions. And there's something that I find very great about that feeling. And it's almost like an addiction in a way. Not necessarily an addiction, because I'm not addicted to it necessarily. This is my job. There's a difference. I mean, I'm not ruining my life to go do these things. However, that could be disputed depending on who you ask. But I lack immersion. I lack the ability to become immersed in something that I'm playing, that I'm watching, that I'm reading. I kind of just don't give a shit. And I never really have. I've always been this person who wanted to create rather than consume. And I'm not giving anybody shit for consuming things. Are you kidding me? I watch Cobra Kai. You fucking kidding me? Of course I consume stuff. But consuming seems so sedative. Not sedative. Sedentary. That's the word I'm looking for. Consuming seems very sedentary. And there's a part of me that doesn't like that really has a problem with it, because I'm a person of action. I like doing things rather than sitting or just watching something or playing something. I don't want to do that. Especially where I'm at in my life now, I feel like if I take a foot off the gas pedal, and this is not just now Jay saying this was Jay from years ago, even when I was a teenager and younger. I didn't want to just sit around and do nothing. I never liked that. I always wanted to be doing something. And then when I realized later in life that music was panning out for me, I stopped listening to music. Now, see, that's something that I always found peculiar. You hear artists talk all the time about influences and inspirations and all this other stuff and what music they listen to now. I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't listen to music. I make music, but I don't listen to it. I don't have Spotify so I can buy the premium subscription and go listen to music while I work out. I don't work out to music. Okay, here's a fucked up thing I do. I'll go to a gym to train and I'll put my headphones in, but I won't have anything playing. Do you want to know why? It's to prevent people from walking up to try to talk to me because I do not want to socialize when I'm training. And my logic behind this is I'm not trying to be a dick. Not necessarily. It's just if I go to somewhere like a gym setting, what are you there to do? You're there to work out. Or if you have a goal in mind, you're there to train. I'm not trying to be there any longer than I have to. It's a public gym. I don't want to be around people anyway. I want to train my ass off, then go home and go back to work and do what I'm put on this earth to do, which is to create, be it music, be it voiceovers, be it acting. Other than that, I'm very much a recluse. I don't go out. I don't socialize. I don't talk to people unless I have to. If it's a film festival, if it's a premiere, yes, I'll absolutely talk to people. Happy to do it. That's called networking. But when that camera goes off and the red light on the microphone goes off and I'm not recording anymore, I don't want to be around anybody. And that's not because I hate people. That's just what I've understood. That's who I am as a person. And I'm comfortable with that. And there's also a part of me that doesn't want to invite anybody into my life that's going to give me problems. Because when I was younger, I had a terrible habit of inviting the wrong people into my life. So now I understand that I have a difficulty determining who's actually good for me and who isn't. So until I figure that out, I don't want to be around people. And it's not people's fault. It's me. And I know that about myself. So this is why I'm reclusive. Or I could just be talking shit. And maybe I just don't like motherfuckers. But the point of this conversation earlier, of what I was saying, is I've always been more about creating than consuming. I prefer creating. I don't want to sit there and just watch something or listen to something or read something unless there's a point. There has to be a point. There has to be a point of productivity inside what I'm consuming. Otherwise, to me, it's a waste of time. But that's me. That's not you. And in no way am I trying to tell all of you listening now that that's how you should be. I am simply expressing why I am the way that I am and being someone who wants to create rather than consume. This is a little different. I talk a lot about acting and voice acting and all this kind of stuff. But one thing I don't really talk about a lot is that I'm a writer too. Not really a writer. I just write for comic books. I write scripts and all this type of shit. Oh my God, my cell phone is going cuckoo banana crackers right now and I'm not feeling it. Shut up, phone. I write on contract, just like I rap on contract. It's not because I give a fuck about writing. And that sounds bad, but it's real. I'm really indifferent to it. I don't care what the material is. I just write. And I kind of wanted to go through everybody or not go through everybody. That sounds like I want to gangbang all of you, which, you know, you never know. If you all are feeling froggy enough and think you can last, yeah, hit me up. Just kidding. Look, I'm going to talk about writing for a second. And I understand every writer has a different process. And that's partially what this conversation is about, this one-sided conversation that I'm throwing at you. When I write, I simply just write. I start writing. If I'm writing with on commission and the person sends me the bullet points, or they know where they want things to go, they can send me the bullet points and I can write the entire script or whatever the fuck it is, and I don't need any further guidance. I really don't. It's that simple for me. And I'm not shitting on anybody. I'm just saying that's my process. I don't need to look at somebody else's work. I don't require myself to listen to music, or I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't feel the need or even have to get into the mindset, so to speak, because there's always something going on creatively inside my head. It's more a matter of, how do I get from point A to point B? If I know the beginning, I know the middle, and I know the end, how do I get there? And then through that, within the first draft, is where I develop it. And that's why drafting is so important. I'll write a first draft and then I'll send it. And then I get notes, and then they might want me to take something out. They might want me to add something, or they might want me to change something ever so slightly. And it's that simple. I go and do it, and then I send them another draft. If they don't like it, I go back and I send them another draft. I can't explain it. I don't know how it happens. It's just, if they say, Jay, we want you to write this, and I go, okay, how much are you paying me? And then they tell me, and if I like it, I go, okay. And then I go, what are the bullet points? What's the plot? They go, okay, well, this happens and this happens, this. I'm like, how many chapters? Or what chapter is this? Or what are we doing here? And then they tell me, and then I go, right. It's just that simple. A lot of them are kind of dumbfounded because they go, you don't need to look into the source material. I go, no. Why? Unless it's based off of something else that I have to research, then yeah. But if not, and it's a completely original story, then no, I'll just write it. I don't write from personal experiences. I don't need to put that shit in there. It's fiction. Why the fuck would I put stuff from my real life or experiences I've been through into something that has nothing to do with me? Does that make sense? It's just one of those things like, okay, these are the characters. This is what they're going through. What are these character traits? If the person doesn't know, then I ask them to develop the fucking character traits. If I have to develop the character traits, well, it's kind of simple. I'll ask the creator directly, like, well, what type of characters do you want? There's only so many archetypes of characters that you can have for the story to be half decent. If you put in too many, then the story sucks. It's just simple. And it's not difficult. Like, this is just for me. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant. I'm just simply saying it because that's my style of writing. If I need to write something, I sit down and I write it. If I have a framework that I'll use, it makes it even easier. If I'm a co-writer, it makes it even easier because that means there's something pre-established that I just have to mimic. And then I mimic it and I add in my own flair, whatever that is. And then they're happy. They're always happy. I hardly get requests to go back and rewrite something because 9 times out of 10, what I write and what I turn in, people go, we love it. And I go, okay, that's cool. And then I get paid and then I move on. And this is a slight switch of subject, but it is important to bring up. When I look at acting as a job and a career, and to me, I don't know about other actors. Other actors I've heard in interviews and stuff like that, because obviously from growing up Gamejae, you guys heard me talk about how I was always interested in the behind the scenes of things more than the actual work itself. I've heard a lot of actors talk about how they love the role or they really like the character and yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. That's all well and good. That's cool. I feel a version of that. But to me, no matter what I get hired to do, that's what I'm there to do. I'm going to give it my best effort because that's what they hired me to do. And I typically don't attach myself to characters that deeply. It's not even something I do on purpose. Now, don't get me wrong. There are roles that I've done that I like, that I appreciate, that I've had the opportunity to participate in, such as, what's the example? Planet X from the Solar Balls, which I know I just remembered today was supposed to be about the Solar Balls. I promise I will get that up next week. That will be the next Phrasing with Jay. It'll be everything Planet X. My bad. But I've done Planet X, I've done Lao Sax, and I was Ox Sadler for Derp Online and all these types of things. There are some roles that I love being in that sense. Like, I just professionally, I find it creatively stimulating. But on the majority, if I'm hired to do a role, then I do my job, I promote it, I appreciate the opportunity I've been given, but I have to move on. I have difficulty sticking too closely to a role that I've done, because at the end of the day, I'm an actor and I need to find a job. And it doesn't matter how long that job lasts, I have to find another one. So, like I said earlier in the show, I'm a hired gun. I go from job to job to job to job to job. I feel like a vagabond sometimes, always traveling, never having a home. And I don't have any negative feelings about that. It's just what it is. It's just something that you kind of deal with when you're an actor. At least that's how I do it. And it wouldn't matter if I had a role on Netflix or I was in a big famous movie. It's my job. Well, I understand a lot of other people may romanticize acting or romanticize being an actor, but I don't. I've always, in order to be humble and remain as ego-free from it as I can, I've always looked at it as a job. And it is my professional duty to perform to the best of my ability every single time, no matter what the role is, no matter if it's a minor role, an extra role, a cameo, or a lead. It doesn't matter. It's about the work. Acting is important to me. Yes, it is. But it's all about the craft and getting better at acting. So for me, I try my best to not hyperfixate on specific characters that I played. If you love me for a character that I've done, or you love, not me, you don't love me, you love my work. If you like my work for a character that I've portrayed, thank you. That means everything to me. Your fandom for roles I have done is the reason I can pay my bills and put gas in my car. You're the reason I can live life. And that I am ultimately grateful for. And just because I look at it as a career, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the people that like what I do or love what I do. I greatly appreciate them, all of you, listening now. But I've always looked at acting as just a job. And that's kind of a failsafe for me to remain ego-free about it. Because I have met actors who think that they are somehow superior or better because they're an actor. And that has got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my fucking life. And I'm very, very serious about that. And I'm pretty sure I just pissed off a whole bunch of actors who think they have some higher calling in life. It's like, guys, girls, calm the fuck down. We're trained monkeys. We act, we sing, we dance. We're not special. Calm the fuck down. Yes, we have a skill that we can do that other people can't, but there's tons of other people out there who have additional skills, who can do things that we can't do. You take away the cameras, you take away the microphones, what good are we? All we're there to do is entertain. And I know that's kind of a cold, somewhat callous way to look at things, but it's just how I look at it. It's always how I looked at it. Even when I was making music, and I'm still, actually, when I was making music, I'm still making music. I just put out a fucking rap battle today. It's still music. Even when I was making songs, I always looked at it like, okay, what song do I want to make? How can I make it to the best of my ability? And people go, well, don't you get inspired or anything like that? I'm like, not really, no. If I need to take something from my personal life in music that happened to use as a backdrop in order to create a song, then that's what I'll do. But primarily, I just make songs about content or stuff that I think people will enjoy. It's just an experiment. It's just a flare of the pen. It's just a creative endeavor. And it sounds like I have this, what do you call it? I have kind of a surgical method of creation, which admittedly I do. It doesn't take me much effort to come up with an idea. Because to me, creativity, and this is from A$AP Rocky, I've talked about this in the past and I'll say it again. A$AP Rocky said it best. He said, creativity is 10% idea, 90% editing. And I am really hard on the phrasing. I am really stern on the editing part. If I have an idea, that's great. Put the idea out and then edit it until you're satisfied. But with someone like me, I'm never satisfied. There is always something more. It's not chasing a dragon. It's understanding the reality that no matter what offering I put out there, it's not good enough. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called a perfectionist streak. All right. I think I'm done for tonight. I had no idea how long this show was going to go when I first pressed the record button. And I thought it was going to go about 30 minutes tops. But hey, here I sit and we're 50 minutes in. So I know what I'm going to do the next episode. What I'm going to do is I've decided to make everything about the solar balls. And I realized I was supposed to do that this episode. But to be totally honest, I completely forgot. I did. I have it written down too, which makes it even more disturbing that I forgot something that important. So when this show goes up, when it's on YouTube and Spotify, I'll be taking the rest of the week to compile all the questions that I've gotten about the solar balls and my involvement as Planet X, and I will be answering them on the next episode of Phrasing with Jay. And I know some of you worry about me from time to time. I see the messages. Okay? I see them. And don't think I'm not answering them because I'm trying to be an asshole or I don't give a fuck about what you say. It's just that sometimes I don't know what to say. But know that I'm cool. So don't worry about me, motherfuckers. I'm fine. But I'm out of here for now. And that concludes our broadcast day with Phrasing with Jay. And remember, without you, there is no me. Later.